Hi kids! So we're going to be working on some math that has to do with measuring. And we're going to be starting with measuring our spaces. So here are some things that you're going to need. For your measuring work today, you're going to need your math journal, a measuring tape, I believe I sent these home with you in your learning packages, a pencil, an eraser, and a ruler, and last but not least, something like a shoe. This is my indoor shoe from school. Make sure the bottoms are clean if you're going to be using yours, but you could also use something like your favorite stuffy. This is our favorite stuffy, Elise and I. This is Google, and Google is a platypus, so he might join us in our measuring too. So the whole idea here is for us to be able to create a plan of your space. So you can pick any space in your house. It could be your bedroom, it could be your kitchen, it could be your playroom or your sister or brother's bedroom if they let you in, or your parents' bedroom. It could be a hallway. Anything that has walls and some things inside of it. So we're going to start by just walking around your space and measuring it with your feet. It could be with feet, or it could be with another object that you prefer, maybe a stuffy or something else that doesn't have any numbers on it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find a corner of the space. This is the corner of my bedroom, and I'm going to line up my feet with the corner. And so I know that that's one of my feet. And if I would fall if I don't move away from the wall, here we go, 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, I'm at something else. I'm going to take my shoe off, and then I'm going to just measure that space. Here is 12 and a little bit. Okay, so now that we've measured one part of our space, let's get our math journal and make sure we record what we've done. So I'm going to give it the title, Measuring My Spaces. At the top, I'll make sure to put the name of the space that I'm measuring. This is my bedroom. And today's date, which is April 20th. You know what? I actually am going to use my eraser because I need some more space for my plan here. So I'm just going to move my date up to the top. April 20th, 2020. And so my ruler now to draw my space. And I'm going to make a small plan of that on the top. So that's the wall that I measured just now. And I measured 12 and a half of my feet. So on this part, this line, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write down 12 decimal 5, that's 12 and a half. Shoes. Now I'm going to just draw my shoe so that I remember this is indeed shoes and not anything else. So now that I've recorded my first measurement, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the entire room with my measurement using shoes. And so if you've chosen shoes for your first one, stick with that and go around and measure how many shoes it is for each one of the walls in the room. Go around the outside of the space. If you've chosen to use something like stuffies or something else, maybe a toy of yours or something else that you can use as a non-standard unit of measurement, that means something that doesn't have numbers on it, go ahead and measure with that and record all of that into your math journal. And I'm going to do the same, and I'll be right back. Okay, it turns out that I started with 12 and a half. Over here, I found out that there's 11 shoe lengths on this part of my room. And it turns out that the other half of, or the other side of the first wall that I measured is the same as the third wall. And the second and fourth walls are also the same. So you might find that out if once you have some measurements that they are the same, because rooms are usually square or rectangle. If they happen to be something like triangle or circle, well, that makes it a little more interesting, but maybe a little harder. So now what we're going to do is we're going to measure the things inside of the room and put them into this diagram. Okay, so bedrooms are called bedrooms because they have beds in them. Probably the biggest thing in your bedroom is your bed. So I'm going to measure mine. You can measure yours. Just start at the corner of your bed, and here I am. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 of my shoes going one way, and line up my feet again here with the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh man, my bed is a square. Here it is. My bed is a square, but it's also a certain amount away from the wall. So I'm going to measure that too. So my heel against the wall. 1, 2, 3 of my shoes away from the wall. Now on my plan, I know that I was measuring from this wall right now. Now that it means that 3 shoes later, I'm going to start drawing my bed. So this is where we're just going to have to sort of sketch things into your mini diagram here, and we'll try that. Okay, so now I've recorded how big my bed is. I've drawn a sketch of it. I've marked down that it is 7 shoes long and 7 shoes wide. And so this side, because they're both 7, that means that all the sides are 7 because it is a square. If one side and the other side are the same, that means the opposite sides are also the same. So I have to write on the bed that it was 7 shoes. Now that I have all my measurements, I can start to use those to create some other things I'll show you about. So now I've written down my bedroom perimeter is shoe lengths. And yes, that farty noise means that there's a blank there. You guys remember that. So a couple of things. Perimeter means how far is it all the way around an object or a space. So if I add up all of the numbers to go all the way around my room, that's 12.5 plus 11 plus 12.5 plus 11. And what I've done is I've created a line on the side of my page right here so I can show how I add up my numbers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out how I'll add this. I'll write 12.5 and 12.5 equals, actually I could probably write that a little bit smaller so that you guys can see it all on one line and I can see it all on one line. And so I know 12 plus 12, that's 24. And 1 or a half and a half, or 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 1. So that means it's 24 plus 1. 24 plus 1 is 25. And that's for these two sides. And then my 11 plus 11, well, that's 11 doubled. And I know that 10 plus 10 is 20, and 1 plus 1 is 2, so that makes 22. So now I have 25 plus 22. 20 plus 20, well, that makes 40. And 5 plus 2, that makes 7. So now I have 47. And I'm going to line these up a little bit better so that it looks a little bit neater, like a vertical adding. So that's 7, and that's 47. So then I can write into my sentence, my bedroom perimeter is 47 shoe lengths. A couple of other things. I've gone back and I've added a dresser into my sketch. The dresser might be called a chest of drawers or a place where you keep your clothes. That's where I keep a lot of my clothes. And then we have tables in our room on either side of our bed. Those tables, sometimes are called nightstands or night tables, but I just wrote tables. And I had to write small to fit it all on my picture, but they are 1.5 shoes by 2.5 shoes. And my dresser was 6 shoes long and 2 shoes wide. Now I'm going to write down the objects in my room and the perimeter of those. So my bed has a perimeter of, oh, better use a ruler, Mr. Arnold. That's why we have them. If you don't have a ruler at home, use something that has a straight edge like the side of a book or something like that. And my bed has a perimeter of, shoe lengths. Now your shoe lengths are going to be different than mine, and that's good because if you had big feet like me, that'd be kind of crazy. So my bed has a perimeter of 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. So you can add that up in any way you like. You can use 7 times 4 if you know that in your mind already, or you can do 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. It's the same thing. This makes 28, and I know it does because 7 plus 7 is 14, and 7 plus 7 is 14 again. 14 plus 14 is 10 plus 10, 20. 4 plus 4 is 8. 20 plus 8 is 28. So my bed has a perimeter of 28 shoe lengths. Well, that's pretty cool. And I'll do the same for my dresser and my tables. And I'm going to record all of that in my math journal. Okay, my dresser has a perimeter of 16 shoe lengths. That's because it is 6 shoes long on both sides. So it's 6 shoes long on this side and 6 shoes long on that side. 2 shoes here and 2 shoes there. And so that makes 6 plus 6 plus 2 plus 2. That equals 16 because 6 plus 6 is 12 and 2 plus 2 is 4. 12 plus 4 is 16. So that is what I showed there. And the sentence is the same. Your bedroom perimeter, your bed has a perimeter, my dresser has a perimeter. Perimeter is P-E-R-I-M-E-T-E-R. Look, there's the word meter inside of perimeter. Just so that you know, meters and perimeters all have to do with measuring lengths. And now my bedroom tables, I've done that as well. And this is where we get into some decimals. 2.5 plus 2.5, or 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5. The reason 2 plus 2 is 4, and then half plus half, or 0.5 plus 0.5, that equals 1. 0.5 plus 0.5 is always 1. So I have 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 more equals 5. And same thing with the other parts of the other lengths of the perimeter of my tables. 1.5 plus 1.5, that equals 3. 1 plus 1 is 2, half plus half is 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. Altogether, that makes 8 shoe lengths around the tables beside my bed. Okay, so that's what my bedroom perimeter kind of looks like. You can see those are my tables over there, and my bed, and then my dresser is here. That's where I was making the video just now. And so I wonder what your bedroom space looks like, or the other spaces in your home, and can you make a plan of those? One of the reasons we make a plan is so that if we have to move things around, we'll be able to tell on the plan if they will work before we actually move them. That's just one way to use a plan, but it's also a good way for us to get around and do our homework by moving around in the space in our house.